Okay, everybody, welcome back. So, got the engine here on a table, and I don't know how it's gonna come apart, but it's gonna come apart. I've got a hammer, I've got some duct tape, I've got some Crystal Light lemon flavor, and we're gonna get started. Okay, so I was actually gonna start off by taking off these two 8mm bolts, take the starter off, but then I realized it's all still full of oil. So I'm just gonna drain it out into a bucket and catch you back. Alright, now that I got the oil drained, I took out those two 8mm bolts, and I'm just gonna kind of walk it out backwards carefully. Okay, I'm gonna continue by taking out the coil. This is a real pain. Like, if you've never taken the coil out of these bikes before, you're gonna want to do it while it's still in the bike, because I had to leverage seriously like my entire body weight to get this thing out. I mean, it was pretty stuck in there. I'm gonna take the spark plug out. Actually, I'm gonna leave it in there just to make sure stuff doesn't fall into the cylinder. And I'm gonna take two Allen heads and take these two bolts out, and that should lift out the valve cover. And I should probably say, because I'm sure a lot of you are questioning why I don't shout out what size the Allen head bolts are, and that's because although I have a handy dandy holder that has all the sizes, I don't actually know like which of these are from this kit, and I've got a bunch of kits like this, and I don't know which ones are actually the right size. So we're just gonna keep going just like we are. Alright, here we go. I'm going to take the gasket with it. Should probably be wearing gloves, but I don't have any. So that looks pretty nice. Okay, we're gonna keep going. I think it's looks like 8mm bolts holding the cam retainer on. Okay, I just want to make a quick cut in the video here. I didn't take out the cam chain tensioner first. Really, you should, so just make a note of that before messing around with the cams or the chain or anything like that. Take this out. It's just a small plunger mechanism that sits on the side of the motor. It's held in by two bolts, 8 or 10mm, I can't quite remember. And then that entire mechanism just slides out and it takes tension off the entire system. So definitely do that first. I didn't, because I was just sort of going by the seat of my pants, but anyway, there you go. And what that's going to do is allow us to take the chain off the cams and then hold them in place carefully so it doesn't all just drop down into the engine. If you're wondering what I do with bolts, I used to label them, and I used to have a whole tray system where I'd take a piece of tape and wrap around clusters of bolts and label them, but that was just a pain. So instead, I usually just stick the bolts right back where they came once I've taken whatever comes off of them. That way, the only thing you really have to keep track of is what large metal piece attaches to what other large metal piece. So anyways, that was really cringy because I couldn't get the cams out for some reason. What I did was I zip tied the cam chain to this little underside of this cam retainer. So usually it sits right like this, and there's a little gap under there that you can get a zip tie in, and I'm just going to use that to hold up the chain for now. But anyways, we got one cam out. Didn't really see or look if this was exhaust or intake, but it looks pretty good to my eye. So we're gonna keep going. Careful with these, you don't really want to just drop these on the block. This bike has I think 8,000 miles on the odometer, but I don't really believe that's correct because I use Supermoto wheels, and those are quite smaller than the originals. A little bit of wear on, what is that, the back side or front side? I can't remember, but not bad. Okay, and then we got two hex head bolts that sort of reside at the front. You can see one right here where the cam chain resides, right here, right there. Another weak guide trick for this, just take your adjustable wrench here, because I know these are probably going to be tough too. and sort of fit it right in there. Or you can also do the opposite way, it's probably more secure, and that gives you a lot of leverage. Alright, here's what those look like. Another captive washer, so I don't think you have to worry about that. Okay, so we're gonna keep going by taking out these two bolts right here in the head. There's a lot of oil in there still. What size are they? 12 millimeter. Okay, I wanted to start it up because I want to mention something. One of these stud bolts is longer than the other. So relative to what the engine orientation is, the shorter one is in this hole here and the longer one is in this hole here. Okay, you can see there is a difference in the length. Okay, so after those are out, we're going to take out these two. They are 12 millimeter, just like the others. Right, so I think I found the magic technique for busting loose these bolts. You should really be using an impact for these because they're probably torqued down with some like 100 foot-pounds, and trying to get that much lateral force is pretty tough. So I brace this 3-foot rod against my shoulder basically, and grab 2 points on the engine and just pull in the direction you want the bolt to go. There we go. Now, that's not saying I'm weak. That's just saying I'm weak. Or really, it's because this engine isn't strapped down. Let's see if these two bolts here, different sizes again. These washers are all captive, by the way. They don't appear to slide off. So, nope, those two are the same. So we're going to keep those separate from the other ones. Alright, so the head is loose. Kind of feels that way, so we're going to go ahead and chop off the zip tie. And be careful with that chain. Make sure it falls somewhere we can grab it once we take off the head. Alright, so the head's off. Got our cam chain out of the way. Just make sure these two guides sort of scissor out of the way for you. And yeah, we're going to go ahead and inspect. Some's falling out. Yeah, okay, maybe don't make my mistake. Our cam, I don't know what you call those. Don't let those fall out. So yeah, I thought this might happen. A retaining pin in between, I believe it probably goes here or here. Focus here or there for the cylinder head fell out, and I just found it now. So keep track of those. Make sure those don't go away because you're gonna want them. I think it's been running maybe a little bit lean, but the spark plug honestly looks kind of okay. But on the cylinder wall is kind of where I'm seeing maybe a little bit of a problem. Come on, there we go. There's a little scoring right there. Here, let me get you some light. That's way better. See that? You know, for 8,000 miles, I'm pretty impressed with that. Really, this bike has more like 6 probably. Not bad. Not bad at all. That really isn't a problem either. That's nothing. So that's kind of good. I had plans for maybe putting a big bore kit in it or high compression kit or something like that and going all out on it. I still might because I mean it's pretty cheap, you know, and by cheap I mean like 800 or $1,000 to do something like that. But I don't think I will because, you know, if I want 35 horsepower or something like that, I'll just get a KTM 350 or KTM 500. I've ridden both. Actually, the 300 feels nearly identical in power to the 500. Like, seriously, we had people riding them back to back, and some people thought they were both 350s, but no, they couldn't even tell. Okay, we're gonna keep going. I believe it's just two 8mm right here, bolts on the front side. I don't really see anything else I could be holding that down. So we're gonna keep going. All right, got those off. They're both same size. Don't forget this little bracket for it. I'm just gonna put these right back in the block after I take off the jug. All right, so one thing I didn't take out, there's actually a believe this is a cam chain tensioner right here. Might be asking what's holding it on still. The answer is the piston. And maybe these two cam guides right here. You know what? Nah. I'm just gonna leave it in for now unless I absolutely have to take it out. Alright, I can't actually get the jug off without taking off this cam chain tensioner, so I'm going to concentrate and do that. It's going to be two 8mm bolts. I'm going to try and get those off without flinging it around too much. Alright, another thing to look for is make sure these retaining pins are there, okay? So you got one here, one here. If you look at the cylinder head here, you have one here as well. So how does the orientation work here? Like here. Yeah, there shouldn't be one here. And there shouldn't be one here. Alright. Alright, another thing you might want to check is the skirting on the cylinder. Just make sure there isn't any chafing marks, especially at the bottom, because what that'll mean is it'll essentially mean that either the rings are really worn out, or the walls of the cylinder are really worn out, or you have some sort of a bearing issue. A little bit of lateral movement side to side on the crank there, that's completely normal, okay? There shouldn't be any twisting though, and there shouldn't really be any up and down, or basically side to side is totally okay. Anything else, you'd be a little bit suspect. Alright, this feels completely solid though. Okay, I'm going to segment the video and I'm going to stop here for now. What I would suggest is take everything that you derived from the cylinder, your cylinder head, take it all away, set it somewhere else, give yourself some more space, because taking apart these cases is going to yield a lot of extra parts, and my table's already small enough as it is, alright?